Hello everyone, it's Farket here, and in this video of Sons of the Forest I'm going to talk about whether trees regrow or not, and they don't. I did a lot of testing, checked the code, etc. I cut down a whole bunch of trees, I used console commands to cut down the rest. I flew up in the air and watched on timescale for about half an hour at 10 times, 20 times the speed, I can't even remember. It was a long time, and just left it running and recording. They didn't regrow. And then tried sleeping a few times, and none of them regrew. I used the entity count to check, and it didn't change. And then I received confirmation from Midnight about it. I do not know why it is not an option, but I have my speculations as to why. Sons of the Forest is much more complicated than the Forest, so perhaps it might be a thing of it might be too complicated to enable. It might cost too much resources to do it. But moving on to the second reason why it might be the case is just the amount of trees that are in the game. Now I went onto the Forest to check how many trees are in that game, and it's listed as entities on that game using console commands. There are 8,677 trees in the Forest. Moving on to Sons of the Forest, there is 189,886 trees. This means that Sons of the Forest has 181,209 more trees than the Forest. The percentage difference between those two numbers is 95.43%, which means that Sons of the Forest has 21.91 times more trees than the Forest. So basically 22 times more trees. And for a map that's supposed to be 4 times the size, that's a lot more trees than the original game. And here's a visual representation that Bing AI gave me to show you the difference, a visual one. So perhaps it might be a case of there's a lot more trees that they feel like it might not be required. This may be true, although I think the problem with not having it as an option is that it causes aesthetic issues, visual issues. I was talking to my friend Frederick about this, and he made a good point. I'm just going to post up what he said here, if you wish to read it. But to summarize it is that if you're building a base, you'll generally clear all the trees around. Or if Kelvin will, he'll go for the closest tree. If you remove all the trees in the forest, or even Sons of the Forest, the surrounding area looks barren. It doesn't have a good look to it. And this might bother a lot of people. When there's a lot of trees, it looks a lot more lively, like the place is real. But when you cut down the trees, it does look barren. And if you've got a nice house in a barren wasteland, that's not a very good feeling, I don't think. Now, because the game is still in development, we actually have a say on whether these things should be added. And I don't think regrowing trees should be compulsory. I think it should be an option. So what I've done is I've created a poll on my YouTube channel for you to vote, which will say words along the lines of, should regrowing trees be an option in Sons of the Forest? And I'm hoping you vote on it, so M9 can see how people feel about it. There's been a lot of misinformation about this topic, I've been told, and I got asked to confirm it, so that's what I'm here doing. There definitely is enough trees in the game, but the way transportation of logs is at the moment is very limited. There's no log carts or boats to move things around. And there's not many rivers in the game that we're going to be able to move boats through, which also affects things. And also the map is absolutely huge, and moving around on it is a problem at this point of the game. Log farming still needs a lot of work to get it to a point where it can be an enjoyable experience, because it is one of the major things that you do in this game. There needs to be a lot of ways to do it. The Forest had a lot of ways. Had zip lines, log carts, throwing logs downhill, using boats, have your friends do it for you. There was a lot of ways, but there could be more. Could get a moose and cart to move logs. So yeah, hopefully that clears things up, and make sure you go vote in the poll. I do think that N-Night may be trying to make the game as realistic as possible without making it not fun. But having trees not regrowing might affect that too much, I think. Even an option to enable it while in game so it's not at the start is probably a good idea. Because if you clear the trees around your base and then you've got that barren wasteland, you should be able to switch it on, let those trees regrow around your base, and then you can take them down. And also Frederick mentioned about the shrubbery and that when it gets cleared, it doesn't regrow, which can also make it look more barren. And the cannibals will take them out. When you're shooting arrows and stuff, it will take them out, I think. So all that stuff doesn't regrow. Unless they added a planting system that you could plant this sort of stuff, I'm not sure. To me, I think an easier option is to just enable it. Maybe 2 options, tree regrowing and foliage regrowing. You could even set a radius for it if they wanted to get complicated. So whenever you build something, a radius for how far away something should be able to regrow. There's a lot of ways they can do it, but player agency is important. Players should be able to have a choice, I believe. Well, that's just my thoughts. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Cheers.